So now we're going to reassemble the Kayaba fork off a 2006 Honda CBR1000. The reassembly process is the reverse of how we took it apart, with a little bit of care, okay? Right now I have a bullet on there, and the reason we put a bullet on there is because there's a ridge here that holds on the bushing. That could tear your seal, so we cover that up with this bushing. And that's a 43 millimeter bushing, okay? So we're going to grab our fork seal and dust cover. Well, first thing we're going to do is we're going to put on our dust cover. Okay, we're going to lube the inside of that so we can get it on there nice and easy. Just a little bit, not too much. And we're going to slide that on nice and easy. We're going to put it down to the bottom, okay? After that, we're going to grab our retaining ring. We're going to put that on there next. So this is the retaining ring. This goes on. Next, thing we're going to do is we're going to put our seal on there. So we're going to lube the inside of the seal a little bit. Want that to just slide on real easy. We just lube the inside of it. Now we're going to lube the outside of it. And that just makes it easier to go back into the fork tube. The important thing to know is the cup side, not this back side with the spring, or it might have writing on it, that goes down. The cup side goes inside of the fork leg. So we're going to put that back on like that. Just going to slide it over, bring it down, nice and easy. The next thing we're going to put on is that washer. This washer has a smooth side and has a rough side. We're going to put the smooth side towards, we're going to put that up. We're going to put the rough side down. Because that's what actually makes contact. We don't need the bullet anymore. That's what makes contact with the fork tube. Okay, so we have that down. Next thing we're going to put back on is the thicker bushing that goes inside of the grooves. We're just going to use our hands to do that. We don't need any tools to put it on. You're going to hear it clip in. Next thing we're going to put on is the outer bushing. Going to slide that right over top of it. Okay? So now we have all our components back inside of our fork on our stanchion. Now we're going to reintroduce the fork tube. We're going to put that back on there. First, we're going to make sure everything's spick and span that goes inside of it. If you have a little bit of fingerprints on the bottom of it, we can clean that because that does not go inside of the tube. We're going to put that down. You hear that? Now we're going to take our tube and our assembly and we're going to flip it upside down inside of our vise. And remember, we're using soft jaws, so we can clamp it in there really well without marring. We're going to grab our Motion Pro fork seal driver. We're going to bring our stanchion up. Okay. Bring our stanchion up. Bring our fork seal down. Everything's going to drop inside of the fork. I'm going to put this on there. It's a two-piece, very easy, something you should definitely have as a special tool. There are other ways to do this, but this is the best way to do it for this fork because it has a bushing. Now, if there wasn't a bushing that came out of the fork and you didn't have to use like a hammer, a rod hammer like action to get the fork leg off of the stanchion, then we could have just drove it in with a fork seal driver. Or you can also use a large socket. So we're just going to go up and down the stanchion until we get a positive connection with the fork tube. You'll hear it. It'll sound more solid. Hear that? So we know it's down. And we know we got a good seal between the fork tube and our new seal. Next thing we're going to do is going to bring our retaining clip, put that back inside. You're going to hear it snap in. Or you can take your tool and just take it around. Here, you can hear that it's snapped in. And then we're going to take our dust cover and we're just going to push it down. Going to push it down into its grooves until we have it nice and flush. Now we're going to test if our new seal is doing what it's supposed to do. And the way to do that, I'm going to turn the fork back around in the vise, close it up, bring it down. I'm just going to put my hand over top of it and I'm just going to push up. Hear that? And as you push down, we have the air pushing back against us. So we know that we have a good seal there. So the next thing we're going to do is going to put our oil back into the fork. We're going to use a rod tool to thread, which threads on top of the dampening rod, and we're going to use that to pump the air out of the rod as we introduce oil back inside of it. So we're going to fill that up just enough so that you can see it, because we're going to actually take a lot of the oil out when we correct the height. Now you're just going to pump. We're going to pump all of the air out of the dampening rod. You're going to see oil come outside of the hose on the dampening rod tube, and you're going to feel that the action that you're going to be using as it does its job, you're going to feel it get more stiff. It's going to start dampening. And we're going to try to pump out all the air. We're going to take all of the air out of the dampening rod. And you're going to feel it get harder and harder to bring the dampening rod up and down. And that's how you'll know that you have the air outside of it and the fluid in. So we're getting it real nice and tight now. There it is. And also you'll see it working. As you let go of the tool, you see it goes down nice and smooth. It might take 20 or 30 pumps, maybe a minute of pumping, just to be sure. We're going to fill this up to where we can see it. Okay. And we're going to take our tool, we're going to set it to 125 millimeters, excuse me. Now, as I was searching online, I told you all that I found 85 as a number. I didn't trust it. I wanted to do it myself, so I measured it on this fork that didn't leak and saw that the height was at 125. So we're going to keep it there at 125. And 85 may be correct for the stock, but these forks have actually been serviced before by another shop, and he set it to 125. So we're going to leave it there at 125 if it was working. So we're already there. That's what you want to hear. You want to hear nothing but air coming out. All right? So the next thing we're going to do So we're going to reintroduce spacers after we put the spring back in. So we're going to put the spring back in. There's a taper side and a wider side. We're going to put the wider side down into the stanchion. Okay. We're going to put our spacer back on. And we're going to put our other spacer on. Okay. I'm going to wipe off everything because we want everything nice and clean. And now what we have to do is we have to compress the fork. So we're going to get our tool back out. Put that back in the vise. Put our fork back inside of the vise. This spring compressor. We're going to bring that down. We're going to lock that in. And we're going to compress the spring. Alright, that should be enough. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to pull up on the rod. We're just going to expose our lock nut. We're going to put our tool back on there, which is going to go between the spacers and the nut. Next thing we need to do, we're going to remove the rod tool, and we're going to set the height. We're going to set the height to 12 millimeters. The importance is if we don't set this back to 12 millimeters, you will not have the full range of adjustability on your rebound. So let's set this back up to 12. And how do we know it's 12? Because I measured it when we took it off of the tool. So now we're going to put our O-ring back onto our fork cap, but we're going to lubricate it before we do that. We're going to wipe off the dampening rod. We're going to wipe that off. We're going to wipe off our fork cap for the last time because we don't want to make sure we don't have any dust, debris. We're going to put that back on. And then we're going to put our fork cap back inside of our rod. We're going to be sure and careful. We're going to take this tool off. Let's thread this a little bit so we can take the tool off, because we don't want it to move, because we want it to stay where we set it. So we'll take that off. Put this I'm going to actually hold it and just put it on top of it, just seat it on top of it so that we can lock it. Okay, so we have it on there. I'm going to hold it with the tool. Just going to tighten it. We're going to hand tighten this. Hand tighten. You don't need to crank this down. All you need to do is hand tighten it. Make sure that that's back inside. Decompress the spring and allow this to go back to its. Make sure that you have it decompressed. We don't want anything snapping in our faces. So make sure that we have everything clean. The dampening rod likes to attract a little bit of dirt. We'll take it out of our tool. fork leg up, and we're going to hand tighten this. Again, the factory will crank this down. It is not necessary. All you have to do is hand tighten this so you can reach, and when you service it again, it'll be that much easier to take things apart. So we're going to hand tighten this. Hand tighten. And that is how you service. Change the dust seals, the dust cover, clean everything out inside. This is a fork service. Change the oil. And that's how you do it on the Kayaba forks. All of the Kayaba forks are the same, except most caps on the Kayaba forks do not have the dampening rod connected to the fork cap. This is 2006, so they had theirs connected. It's a different system, but it's all the same. You can do all of them the same. Now, if we were just changing the oil, we wouldn't have had to separate the stanchion from the forked leg. But that's how you do it. That's a complete service. We know that everything's good. You're going to make all your settings that you recorded. When you took them off of the bike, you set those back. And it's Gypsy Man Racing. This is how you do it. It takes time. It's tedious, a lot of cleaning, but anybody can do it. You do have to have special tools, and the special tools are costly. I have this from Race Tech, and I have the other things. Most of them are from Motion Pro. So I appreciate you guys watching. I know it's a long video. If you have any questions, feel free to just ask the question. I'll get back to you as soon as I can, which is most times almost instantly. Hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you like it. Peace.